Father Charles, God bless you. God love you. Thank you for your time today.
Let me play another hypothetical with you, Father. Pure hypothetical, okay?
Sure.
We elect you the next pope, okay? A, what name do you take?
You sure this is hypothetical now?
It's totally hypothetical. We show up with pitchforks and torches, and we demand, like the Gregory the Great kind of days, we demand that this be the case, right? So you get the nod, smoke coming out of the stack, white smoke, praise be to God. What name do you take? Number one. Number two, I really want to know, like, what is your, like, what do you do first? There's so many issues, and you're one man. And I hate to break the news to you, Father. You're no spring chicken. Okay. You're totally surrounded by wolves in sheep's clothing. What do you do?
Oh, you mean,
I'd love to know.
You mean when I'll be elected, I won't be a spring chicken?
Exactly. Because that ain't going to happen tomorrow. Yeah, 100%. That's what I meant. That's what I meant.
Here's what you do. Here's what you do. First of all, before let me just do this. There's not a priest alive who doesn't have a name for himself as Pope. Let me just tell you a secret, right? And I'll tell you another secret that I learned in life. And I'm almost 75 now, and a priest almost 48 years. I've had to bury many priests, right? Given some of them the last rites and everything else. And then afterwards, you have to go through their things and give this to the family and the other thing. I found more than one mitre in the bottom drawer of a chest of drawers.
Really? Oh man! Holding on.
Let me just put it that way. Yeah.
Just in case.
Just in case. You never know.
Yeah, you never know.
But I would take the first of all. I would accept. I would accept the challenge, and I would take the name Pius. There's no doubt about it.
So 13th.
I think that from Pius the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, Pius the 12th above all, my patron saint, I would take the name Pius. However, I've always enjoyed thinking about a trick I'd like to play at that point.
Really?
I would like to find it's done by a cardinal. I don't know if you could find a cardinal who would go along with the joke of lisping. But if I could find a cardinal who lisped, or one who was a very good friend and who would accept to lisp, I would like him to go out and announce, Habemus Papam, cui tibi nomine Sixtus Sextus. There has been no Sixtus the Sixth. There never has been a Sixtus the Sixth. There's been a Sixtus the Fifth. I would like Sixtus the Sixth. With a healthy lisp. I think that would be fantastic. A healthy
lisp. And everybody would be like, what did you say? What's this?
Yeah.
All right.
But anyway,
what is your agenda?
The second thing you do after you do that is you could actually probably would be your first thing, I would imagine, even before putting on the white cassock. You choose a Secretary of State. Immediately, you don't wait 2 minutes. Immediately, a new Secretary of State. And he has to be a man who is of your total confidence. Total confidence. A pious man, you want a holy man, you want a sane man, and you want a man who is completely your man, completely faithful to you. As President Trump is just learning right now, he learned from his last administration that you can't just put in people to please people. You've got to have people who are loyal to you. Intelligent people, capable people, but loyal. You need one person, particularly your Secretary of State, has to be super loyal to you. He has to be your right hand, not just your right hand man. He has to be part of your brain.
He's got to be tough
you have
too,
to think
right?
together. He's got to be tough, because what you're leaving him to do are all the tough decisions, so that you can be Papa. You see, that's what you do.
All
and
right,
then
so
you get
Secretary of State's number one.
You get the resignations of everyone else in the Roman Curia.
Whoa.
Everyone else. That's what they did. It's what they did until John Paul I.
Do you wear the papal tiara?
That's what was always done. Everyone in the Roman Curia resigned. You could be reappointed, but you had to present your resignation. I would accept their resignations, all of them, because they've been failures.
Yeah,
and put people into those places that made sense, and then start moving a Catholic agenda once again. It could be done.
Do you bring back the papal tiara?
Oh, absolutely. Do you know what? I was in Brazil in this last trip to Brazil. I was seated next to His Imperial Majesty, His Highness, who would have been the king, the emperor of Brazil.
Wow.
Had the empire continued, right? Had the Masons not won and changed the whole thing to a republic. However, this man was a fantastic man. I was thinking, there were a couple talks. I gave a couple of talks, but there were some talks that I found one particular was rather boring. There's always something like that in these conferences. And I'm sitting next to the emperor, and I'm thinking to myself, why doesn't a monarchy really work?
Ooh.
And of course, the papacy is a monarchy. And I'm sitting next to this man, and he's a very kind man and everything else. And I said, I'll tell you why a monarchy doesn't work, I said to myself. Because this man could be a wonderful man, but his son might be just a disaster. The monarchy depends on, it's generational. It's from generation to generation. And you can't guarantee that. And look at the monarchies here. To think of what Franco, for example, in Spain, fought so much to establish order and reinstate the monarchy. Well, I better be careful because I'm coming up for citizenship here.
I didn't want to bring it up. I wasn't going to bring it up.
Most of these monarchies are at best jokes, at best ceremonial jokes, right? But these people can't really rule anything. They're spoiled brats. So why does the papacy work? Because the papacy is a monarchy. And the reason the papacy works is because the man is elected. He's king for 10 years, for 15 years, and then someone else is elected. So this is the monarchy that is the Vatican, that is the Holy See, works because there is an election of peers, of the cardinals in this sense. And it works that way. And it works.
Well, the Holy Roman Emperor was elected.
Yes, also. But then all of a sudden, but you start seeing their children are goofballs. Their grandchildren are disasters. They're monsters. They create these.
You know my grandkids? That's amazing.
With 10 heads, not yours. But you know what I'm talking about. For goodness sake, Little Boots. What was his name? Little Boots. Caligula. Caligula was the grandson of Augustus. They were monsters, all of these people. That's why monarchy doesn't work. It really doesn't. But that's why the monarchy of the Vatican, of the Holy See, does work.
Yes, and we have a perfect elected pope right now, and all of our elected officials are perfect, and they're not monsters. I can see why.
There you go.
Why monarchy doesn't work and democracy doesn't work.
There is that point of view too. Yeah,
you've triggered our producer. That's his hot button. If he's got one button, it's that one. It's the monarchy. So that's right. Congratulations, Father.
But the thing with the papacy is that you get another chance in 10 years.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is you keep electing old ones, so they die within within a decade, ideally, and it's a natural term. That's what it's called.
So, well, they had Pius IX, who was a young man, elected as a young man, and he did a pretty good job.
Let me take you back to the hypothetical again, because all right, so we have a Secretary of State immediately. We accepted all the resignations of the entire Curia. You're going about the business of finding good candidates to fill those spots. Do you they're not going to just go away quietly into the night, though, these wolves in sheep's clothing. They're going to resist you and fight you at every step. So how would you keep them there? How would you overcome that? Because you're just one guy if you surrounded by the enemy.
Rome. No, if you keep them in Rome, of course. But you don't keep them in Rome. You tell them all to go home. And you send them home. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
Or you make them chaplain. You can make them chaplain to the I don't know.
So can we send them all to Iran?
The queen of
all
something or the king of bamboozle or whatever. Just get rid of them. Go home. Thank you very much for your service. It's been fun. What is Trump going to do right now? What is Trump going to do on the 7th of January? You think he's going to keep all of these people in Washington? He's already talking. I thought this really gave me a jolt of excitement the other day when I heard that he was considering moving. I probably heard it wrong. Either the FBI or the CIA or something like that. He was thinking of moving them to Iowa. Or
could you imagine
to Missouri? Yeah. Just there. We want the CIA from now on is going to work out of Iowa, far away from Washington. I thought, my gosh, somebody's advising him correctly, or if he thought of it himself, he's right on to the right idea. I'll tell you that. Get these people out. They've got to be out, and then you can start. You can start anew. You can't do it while they're there. You can't. It doesn't work.
Do you abrogate the Novus Ordo?
I think what you would do, I would call. I wouldn't call it a commission because a commission is a horrible thing. But I would call.
No more napkin designs from Bugnini.
No more napkin designs. You know the old definition of a committee, right? That a camel is a horse put together by a committee. You never heard that?
No, I've never heard that.
Anyway, committees get crazy. They just get crazy. But I would commission people like a Saint Jerome, like a Saint Augustine. I would find these people, really, really intelligent men and women, to come together and give me some ideas for one Roman Mass, for a Roman rite. A real one that is built on tradition solidly. Here's why I'm saying that. There were certain things, even in the Tridentine rite or the Tridentine Mass that was out, and sacraments, that should have changed. There were some changes needed. There's certainly a change needed. That's an obvious one in the calendar, for example. We have more saints to accommodate, so a new missal should be drawn up. Some things, look, for example, also in the readings, the cycle of readings that we have. I find that very interesting. I find that more interesting actually than with the Tridentine Mass, because oftentimes you have the Sunday Gospel, Epistle and Gospel for the entire week, right? Unless something else comes up, a major feast day or something like that. So I find that a little bit more enjoyable and nourishing, right? So there are certain things that could change, yes, but that when it did change, and of course I would have it all in Latin, except for what the council called for, the readings, perhaps the propers, but the rest all in Latin and pretty much traditional. That's it. Using the Mass that we had used for 1,600 years.
So what if in that scenario, okay, let's just again spitball this. In that scenario, you're going to have a number of world bishops. They're going to be like, I'm not going along with this. You're out of your mind. You're crazy. Or even worse, there's going to be a ton of priests who are like, I don't know Latin. Are you kidding me? I can't learn Latin this late in life. I'm not doing it. Forget it. So you're going to get a lot of resistance and a lot of people that just aren't going to go along with that. What do we do about that?
You are kidding, aren't you, Joe?
I wish, but no, unfortunately I'm not.
You think, just a minute. You think that if the Pope today would say something to our bishops, they wouldn't do it?
Well, let's see. We have a couple of
Are you
recent examples.
are you serious? Do you believe they wouldn't do it? They would revolt? You've got to be kidding me.
I know. In a hyper-papalist society,
they've got 3 squares a day. They've got 3 squares a day. They live in beautiful places. No rent, no this, no that. Nice cars. No. They're not going to. No, that would be too much to risk. Far too much to risk. They'd go along with it just fine. Just remember. Only 50 years ago, we had bishops who had never said Mass in English, who had never done an awful lot of it. They were fine with everything. Just came right through. No, you wouldn't have that much of a problem. No,
really,
you wouldn't.
Wow.
Look at today. Just look at it from the opposite, Brown. Could you find a bishop who would speak the truth today? Who would really be valiant in speaking the truth? How about Strickland is one that I know. Schneider's another one. I know a few more. I know a couple who have phoned me with complaints that they can't stand this and they can't speak it to anybody. There are a few, but it's the same as with John Fisher and Thomas More. Thomas More, of course, wasn't a bishop, but John Fisher, he was the only bishop in England. Only one.
Yeah.
They're a pretty complacent lot. And as a matter of fact, I think the criteria for making a bishop is that he not be a man who would stand up in the boat. So I don't think you'd have any problem there.
Okay. So all right. So we come up with the Roman Rite, and we promulgate it worldwide. Right. Is there a transition period? You have to allow for them to train up and get ready. So you're still tolerating, Novus Ordos or even the 62 Missal until we get this.
I'd have a transition period. A transition period of about 2 months.
2 months. Wow.
Sure.
Father, they're going to have to put committees together. They're going to have to meet. They're going to have to create. They're going to have to create animated icons to represent these committees.
I may be sounding a little bit flippant, but I'm going to say this: we are losing souls. Even as you and I speak right now, we are losing souls. This concerns a great number of priests and bishops in the world. It seems not to concern too many in the Vatican, but right now. But we are losing souls, and this is a tragedy. We have to act quickly, responsibly, and seriously, and get things done. We're losing people. We're losing souls. This is not good. And when we get serious, we can get going again. We need missionaries. We need young men and women who would take the gospel to all parts of the world and show Jesus Christ and present Jesus Christ as the only way, the only life, the only goodness, the only beauty. It's there.
Would you at all be concerned as Sixtus the Sixth? Would you be concerned about murder in the 33rd degree?
You like that, don't you?
I do. It's great.
It's always been my dream. It's a recurring nightmare.
The sixth. Now, would you be at all concerned about murder in the 33rd degree? I know a guy who wrote a great book called Murder in the 33rd Degree. I mean, so there seems to be a precedent here. Would you be concerned about that? And how would you avoid being, offed?
Oh, sure. You would have to be concerned about that all the time. But I think I'm concerned about it now, to tell you the truth.
Really?
I've had at least one serious threat on my life.
Really?
Yes.
That's terrible.
Because of that book. Yeah. Well, I mean, but that's the way we live. What are you going to not write a book?
Yeah.
Let's all just be comfortable and take our corners and not say anything and don't lift your head. No, you can't live that. I can't live that way. I wasn't taught or raised to live that way. I wouldn't do it. No. I think it's time to make a stand. And there are a lot of crazy people in the world who would also like to kill true believers, and they're going to do a job of it, I think, pretty soon. We're getting to this all over the world. The Catholic Church especially is being persecuted tremendously. all of these burnings, they're not reported. Churches being set on fire and crumbling and being destroyed and sacked all through Europe. We have this, and in the hundreds, if not thousands. And it's no news. It's no news. It's no news. It's quiet. It's quiet. Nobody says anything. The persecution is coming, and we have to have men and women and children ready to stand up to that, and to be strong in their faith. Unfortunately, we haven't been doing a good job of educating or procuring those people. We will. When the product is clear again, Joe.
Do you think that the popes should travel the world? Would you stay at the Vatican, or would you, as your predecessors have done, going back to Paul VI, just get on a plane and travel the whole world?
No, it's travel time is time is up. That didn't do a lot of good. It was, what did it do? I mean, a lot of people saw the Pope. Okay, good. Did they listen to what he said? No, not really. Those are great acts, to go to first of all, to spend your time going to the United Nations to give us, you got to be kidding me. I'd go down, I'd be on 2nd Avenue someplace before I'd be at the United Nations. Wow. Here's the thing is this too. It's time for someone to stay home and clean house. This should have been done during the time of John Paul I. He tried. What did he do? He named his new Secretary of State, not officially, but he had already called in Benelli. Benelli agreed. And then Benelli told him, you have to get Baggio out. All right? We've been through this before.
We have, yeah.
Out of the Congregation for Bishops. That's what cost him his life. It's very simple. Cost him his life. But he was attempting to clean house. Unfortunately, John Paul I was not a strong man. He wasn't. He was a very kind man, very pastoral man, very sympathetic. I've heard from people, a wonderful confessor. Would spend hours in the confessional, and he was great with people. But you need a strong man. We thought that was going to be the case when John Paul II, Wojtyła, was elected. We had a strong man, but then he took 104 trips around the world and did not clean house. And while he was not cleaning house, my goodness, did those mice, actually I call them rats, play.
Cockroaches.
They played fantastic, and they applauded every trip that he'd made. No, time to stay home. Time to stay home and clean house. Besides, everyone in the world is traveling today. Let them come see you.
That's right. And a man of your vintage probably doesn't travel well.
I just got back from a trip swearing it would be my last. The traveling experience is not great. I'll tell you that. Yeah. But yeah.
Let me ask you this then. All right, so you're home. You're at the Vatican. Do you go back to the papal apartments? Do you stay in Santa Marta Hotel? I just recently got in trouble because I mentioned that the hotel got renovated so that the Pope could live there. I wonder how much that cost. A lot of money. But anyway, do you live at the hotel? Do you go back to the apartments?
Humility has its price, Joe.
I know.
Humility has its price, Joe.
I would say it's a blank check,
come on.
But okay.
Everything costs. It costs to be humble.
It costs a lot of money to be humble in Santa Marta Hotel there. And interestingly enough, It was Damian Thompson who told me about the renovation. And I asked him, this was a few years ago, I'd asked him, hey, why does the Pope live at the hotel? And he says, because he's a godfather and he wants to know, he wants to hear those rumors as he's sitting in the cafeteria. He wants to see who's coming and going. He wants to know the conversations that are being had. He has to keep his thumb on the pulse of everything. And he can't do that if he's insulated over in the Vatican apartment and he's not seeing what's going on. So he's a godfather. It goes back to his personality. And I always found that utterly fascinating. So what do you do? What do you do, Pope Sixtus VI? Do you go back to the Vatican apartments?
Well, of course you do. Of course you do. Well, could you imagine? Could you imagine somebody, a president of the United States, being elected and saying, "I'm going to stay at the Hilton"? No, not the Hilton. I'm
Trump
going to
Tower.
stay at a Motel 6. Motel 6.
Yikes.
Yeah.
With the old waffle
Well, they
presser?
kept the light on for me.
That's right.
And that's what it's all about. And then I'll take a limousine back and forth to work every day, and that's it. But I wouldn't live in the White House. No, we couldn't live in the White House. Besides, the White House was built by slaves. You heard the hard time Mrs. Obama had living there for 8 years. It almost killed her.
Good thing she now has 3 or 4 houses, one of which is on Martha's Vineyard. Now she's really recovering well.
And I get a laugh out of people who want to remind the Obamas that they're too close to the ocean with the rising tides.
I know. Yes, exactly.
Right.
Oh, okay. All right. So you move back to the Vatican apartments. I'm going to assume, for the sake of the conversation, that you put back on the red slippers, right? You make the red slippers great again. Thanks be to God.
You become the Pope. You be the Pope. Look, when I knew, a lot of people say, when did they know that we were going to have some sort of difficulty? Let me put it diplomatically with this man. They'll say, well, when he wrote this document, he wrote that document. No, I knew in the first 10 minutes of his pontificate, when he got to the loggia and he bowed and asked with that humility, the blessing of the people. Yeah. I said, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. This man is, no, we're in trouble. This man doesn't know how to be Pope, and he thinks he's going to remake it. No. And I knew from that on, and it was just downhill.
Big red flag.
Yeah.
All right, Vatican Bank.
Huge.
Vatican Bank. What do you do?
Is there
with
a
the
reason?
Vatican Bank?
Is there a reason for the Vatican Bank?
Yes. The CIA has depended upon the Vatican Bank to launder their money along with the mob going back to World War II. If you mess with the Vatican Bank, you mess with the mob, you mess with the CIA.
Well, if that's the reason, if it has no reason, Pius XII began the Vatican Bank because Europe was being rebuilt after World War II. And so many congregations were accepting money from all around the free world, the world that was not affected by the war, to rebuild Europe. Well, the Pope said, why are secular banks making money with money when everything could come through the Vatican, it could be kept honest and then given to these people when they needed it? The Vatican had diplomatic arrangements also for such things. That it's become corrupt is something that I believe it did not really exist under Pius XII. It did not really exist under John the 23rd because they were rebuilding Europe. It started to become a problem under Paul VI. And again, Cardinal Gagnon and many others, but especially Gagnon, after he did his 3-year investigation of the Vatican, told Paul VI that what was happening was a Masonic infiltration of the bank to bankrupt their idea was to bankrupt the Catholic Church. Can you imagine? As if the Vatican Bank were the Catholic Church. That's it, right?
Wow.
Well, John Paul II didn't believe that, and that's when Cardinal Gagnon resigned and left. He said, "That's enough. I've had enough." When it did happen, when the top blew off it, of course it was exactly what Gagnon told him. They were the Freemasons of P2, the ones who went to jail, Joe. They went to jail as Freemasons.
Wow.
They went to jail guilty of Freemasonry, which was not permitted in Italy at that time, and was against the law. They went as Freemasons. Those that didn't commit suicide get killed or end their lives some other way. They were all Freemasons, beginning with Gelli, right, and Sindona and all of the rest. So it was a Freemasonic plot, and where the Freemasons are concerned with their hatred of the Catholic Church is unique, absolutely unique. They would do anything to undermine it, and we have foolishly forgotten that.
Yeah, we sure have.
We just think, no, they're nice people. They're nice people. They only do that for business reasons. They're good people, basically.
Good guys.
Yeah.
Good guys.
Those good people were responsible for an awful lot of deaths and for billions of dollars mismanaged.
Yeah.
In the idea that they would bankrupt the Vatican, at least. Unbelievable.
This book right here, The War of the Antichrist with the Church and Christian Civilization by Monsignor Dillon, is all about the Antichrist working through the Freemasons against Holy Mother Church. I highly recommend it. Published by Tan.
Excellent.
All right, so let me ask you this. We're running out of time. We only have a few minutes left here with Father Charles Murr. Forgive me, Pope Sixtus the Sixth. And people are putting memes in the chat right now of suffering succotash and marriage. We got some
good pontiff.
That's exactly what I meant with the thing.
Got some good memery going.
However, you remember, Joe, that was my joking name.
I know.
The real one would be Pius
XIII. Yeah.
Good.
Okay, but I like Sixtus the Sixth better.
I
Bring back?
I really do.
Your Holiness, do you bring back from exile Vigano and Strickland and a handful of others who've now been retired and into the ether? What about all of those canceled priests that are growing in greater numbers these days? What do you do about all of that?
Yeah, I just heard of two more who were canceled because they were not completely in conformity with the nonsense. Yeah. What do you do? First of all, Vigano and others are really up there in age. So they don't have to be brought back from anywhere. Excuse me. When you stop and look at the people who are judging these cases and putting telling you who's in the club and who's out of the club, you've got to be kidding me. These people are. Who was it?
Politics.
Groucho Marx made that great line, right? He said, "I'd never want to belong to a club who would have me as a member."
That's right. Yeah.
There's something to the audacity of taking Strickland away from his diocese. This is incredible. The audacity of Vigano. Not of Vigano, of dealing with Vigano the way he was dealt with, of not listening to him. Does he have something valid to say? He certainly does. Why isn't he listened? Because that's not the spirit of the day there. We've always had people who were not completely 100% with the program, and some of the times found them great treasures of information and of direction. Not everybody has to step with the emperor. Keep in step with the emperor. It's there is some independent thinking permitted. Yes, I would take the majority of them back. I would take back any priest who really believes in God. I would get rid of priests, bishops, cardinals who don't.
Do we put men like Bishop Athanasius Schneider in a Vatican position of some kind?
You have to be careful of that because look. There are many priests and there are many people, men and women, who are very good where they are. And when you move them up a peg and put them as administrators, they're failures because they don't know how to. Look at Bishop Fulton Sheen, Archbishop Fulton J. Sheen. I love the man. Yeah. I devoured everything that he ever wrote. And said, I thought the world of him. When he was sent as a chastisement from Spellman to Rochester, he didn't know how to run a diocese. It was a complete failure.
Got him in trouble.
Well,
but they knew that. That's why they sent him.
Well, yes, you're probably right. You're very right on that too. The thing is, let Sheen be Sheen. Let Spellman be Spellman. They know what they're doing. But you don't start changing a man like that, thinking that that's a good idea. You have to look at each person. Would so and so make a good bishop? Would he make a good cardinal? I would bring back
liberal theology.
I would bring back the absolute test on any cardinal. If a cardinal could not swear out loud that he would give his blood to protect Jesus Christ, he should be out. Out.
Yeah, I like it.
Only those who would say for sure that they would be willing to die martyrs could wear the red. I would not make that a joke any longer.
Charles Borromeo, St. Charles Borromeo, when he took possession of his diocese, he had to institute a seminary and formation for already ordained priests because they were so badly formed. He had to re-educate them. Do you think that would be necessary under your pontificate?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I think so. I've got any number of young priests. And when I say young priests, I'm talking in their 20s and in their 30s, up to 40, who have been asking me for the longest time, and to find them a course of theology. I mean, a real course of Christology, of ecclesiology, of dogmatic theology, what have you, that they could take because they were cheated. They were absolutely cheated. And they realize it now that they're ordained. They don't know what people are talking about. They don't know what they get into intellectual discussions with older priests. They have no idea what's being discussed because they were taught, I don't know what they were taught. Touch me, feel me, see me, heal me, something. But it wasn't theology, and it wasn't philosophy. They don't even have the philosophical tools to understand theology. This is how bad we've gotten. So yes.
How many years would you need in the hot seat in order to turn the ship around?
Oh, I think if they gave me just 2 days, I could do an awful lot in 2 days. Mario Marini,
maybe all you're going to get.
Mario Marini used to joke and say, he wasn't joking though. I shouldn't say that he wasn't joking. He was serious. He said he would need 3 days. And there would be in St. Peter's Square 5 decapitations, 5 executions. And that would take care of it. He said, I would have their attention. Yeah.
Making capital punishment great again. You're gonna have to revise the catechism to make that great again, because they changed that recently. So that'll be one more task that you have to see to. Pope Sixtus VI. Did you like that video? It's okay. You can admit it. It's perfectly fine. Hey, we cover the big stories of our day, from inside the church to outside the church to all points in between, and we do it from a Catholic perspective. It's called A Catholic Take. It's a radio program Monday through Friday. We live stream it right here on this channel, by the way, so make sure to subscribe, like, and share. We would be very grateful to you. And don't forget, you're going to want to watch this video right here because you don't want to miss anything.